They say every culture has a food that everyone else thinks is disgusting. What are that food for your culture? There is a certain Midwestern city where a certain kind of chili is immensely popular. We who grew up there can't get enough of it. Chili parlors all over town, DIY seasoning packets in all the groceries. It's more like spaghetti sauce with meat than anything else. And it is nearly always served atop spaghetti. It is immensely unpopular outside of that city, a delicacy spurned by millions. Take it to a potluck, and you will take it home virtually untouched. Others have opened chili parlors in other cities that feature this dish, and a fate they've all failed in fairly short order. And Chinese American, and I guess that food for my culture is ... half of it. Just half the food from my culture is disgusting to a tremendous proportion of Americans. Can't begin to describe the number of times I've taken white friends to a Chinese spot and heard some iteration of is their insert Panda Express dish name here. I'm a really picky eater. That said, the biggest offenders are chicken feet or any dish with tripe. I have the least success in convincing people to try these relative to other Chinese dishes. I grew up with my great-grandparents in a Scandinavian community in northern Minnesota. Lutefisk was a common dish at the holidays, and like 3 times a year the regular Friday fish fry was lutefisk. It's cod that's soaked in lye, and it's nasty as shit. Jello-like texture and smells terrible. I don't think anyone under 65 eats it anymore. It's def a dying off item, but we still eat the shit out of lefse, which is a thin flat potato bread that looks like a tortilla. You put butte, sugar, and sometimes cinnamon on it. Evansville, Indiana has the brain sandwich, a deep-fried pig brain on a bun served with pickles and onions. It's fairly popular down there, but the only person I ever told that wasn't freaked out by it was my native Chinese co-worker. And he said something like, that sounds better than how we cook brain. It basically tastes like deep-fried flavor in my opinion. Like, imagine the difference between a piece of fried chicken and baked chicken. And the difference is what a brain sandwich tastes like. According to a ridiculous amount of TikToks I've seen, just the thought of a PBJ is disgusting to a lot of foreigners. Then you think, oh, they'll try it and change their mind. A very few did, but most thought it was even worse than they imagined. I can understand if it's not your cup of tea, but it's not like it's some weird animal, weird fruit vegetable, or some old fermented concoction. It's a sweet sandwich. I just don't understand how it could be so bad. We have fried pork blood with onion, pork lard spread on a slice of bread. Sour lungs is a dish made using the heart and lungs of a pig. Aspic or meat jelly, usually with different parts of the pig, such as the ears, visible inside. Chicken feet and chicken head cooked in stew. A few decades ago it was still common to cook the pig brain, tripe stew. Various sweet pasta variations, such as pasta with jam walnut. Cabbage, it smells like wet, rotting garbage. It tastes like sulfur and death. Cabbage is poison, and you cannot convince me otherwise. This includes all cabbage-based foods, sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, etc. All vile, hideous and toxic. Second only to cabbage is corned beef, just disgusting. Needless to say, I'm not a fan of St. Patrick's Day. Ceterum or autumn sensio brassica esse delendum. Kitfo raw minced beef. Ethiopian here. People think it's weird, but rare blue steak is a thing, and kitfo is a lot easier to chew. You generally eat with other accompaniments and with chili powder. I'm impartial to it personally, but I've seen people express disgust, shock about it. As long as the beef is safe to eat raw and you don't overdo it, you'll be perfectly fine. Well, my family is Swedish, so I grew up with a good chunk of that culture even though it was in San Diego. So I'm gonna say lutefisk. There's no traditional foods in Southern California that would realistically gross anyone out. Maybe the spicy pickled carrots at the table in Mexican restaurants. So yeah, I'm going with lutefisk. At least according to 2 of my friends from Singapore and Kenya. American foods like Reese's Cups and any other desserts with peanut butter are nasty. They said where they're from, peanuts are eaten like other legumes, so to them it's like putting chocolate syrup on your hummus or something. Also pumpkin pie for similar reasons. Horseradish sauce, sigh, and had the consistency of mayonnaise tinged with betrayal. But I personally love it, although it doesn't beat homemade or farmer's market mustard. It's still up there on my favorite types of spicy. Frikandel. Basically different kinds of meat, mostly meat that is hanging from the carcass after the bigger parts are cut off, pressed together and fried. Mostly it is chicken meat and pork. Look it up for more info. I love eating this with some mayonnaise and ketchup and fries. Not food exactly, but probably Fernet with Coke. Definitively acquired taste. I thought it was nasty as well at the beginning, but everyone here drinks that, so you get used to it. Only people I've seen enjoy as well are Scandinavians. I imagine they have some similar drinks. Perukai, or guinea pig, has been raised as food since about 5,000 years ago. Honestly, I love it. Very complex flavors, really crispy skin when fried, also doesn't contain that much fat, and is rich in protein. It's also more expensive than regular beef or chicken. Culture-based preference. I think you're asking. Not personal preference. Culturally, I think horse, cat, dog, snails and bugs as well. For the vast majority, for my personal culture. Any kinds of innards, I don't know anyone in my family who will eat them. I described poutine to an American and she told me that it sounded disgusting. I was left speechless. I would have thought that, to an American, freedom fries, gravy of no particular flavor, and cheese curds would sound enticing, but apparently not. My mum is full Korean. Grew up in Korea until 19 and moved to America when she found out she was pregnant. My whole life she's always called kimchi Korean birth control because one whiff or someone's brie after eating it and your libido is gone. Hudlakosh, Mexico. Blister smut of maize. Balls smut of maize. Common smut of maize. Corn truffle. As a kid I'd see it and want to throw up. As an adult, I ate some in a taco and discovered it was amazing. If we're going by state, then Florida for its gator meat. Some people who never tried it before might batter I just because it's coming from an alligator. But I promise you they're the chicken of the swamp. If you know, you know. Chungwa. It's made with basic ingredients, and if you add toasts, you have a light and easy to digest soup. People started hating it, the sides of the trend, because they will die if they drink a soup that contains milk. Chihir. The best known thing every Gentile and plenty of us think is disgusting is gefilte fish. The real answer, though, is rare enough these days that even a lot of Jews don't know of ipsha, or jellied calves' feet. My state has a local favorite drink, so disgusting, and its name has become an English word for the level of determination it takes to drink a whole bottle of it. Yes, that's literally the origin of the word moxie. Pie floater from South Australia. It's a meat pie placed inside tea soup, with tomato sauce drizzled on top. They used to be much more popular in the 80s and 90s, much harder to find these days. And I love them. Deep poutine. English Canadians used to mock us Quebec for it. Then they actually tried it. And now they claim it to be a Canadian national dish, but that's total cultural appropriation on their part. Korean seaweed soup myoga. The broth is literally pure umami and likely the best broth you'll ever have. But the seaweed gets boiled down to the consistency of an especially gooey piece of phlegm. I think that's harder for the US than European countries since we're so big. For example, there are people who aren't big on Southern-style food. Not all Americans like Rocky Mountain oysters. I can't decide. Hawk head cheese Louisiana. TBF. I think it's disgusting too. I'm thinking boudin might also fit the bill, but I'm not sure what other people would think of it. I think it's absolutely delish personally. From what I've seen online, people really can't handle the idea of biscuits and gravy, peanut butter, or root beer. I love all three, Of course, root beer can't ever top or cheer wine for me. Nearly everyone who is not raised on Chinese cooking hates century eggs, which is a duck chicken egg preserved with salt and other ingredients. It is delicious when combined with rice porridge. In Korea, we have silkworm pupae, the stage after larva. They have an extremely strong smell. Also available in silkworm soup. Mostly only eaten by older people now. You can Google the Skyline three-way, which is spaghetti topped with Greek chili and a shit ton of shredded cheese. You can also get it with onions and beans. There's lots of shit about it. And I love it. I am ethnically Norwegian. My grandparents used to speak Norwegian to each other sometimes. On special occasions, she made lutefisk. It is the most disgusting thing I have ever eaten. My new adopted culture is Japanese. There's a fermented bean thing called natto. It's truly horrific. My wife loves it. I have a collection of horrendous flavors in my freezer. Pickled herring inlagged sill. Salted cod roe paste kales caviar. Liver pate lever paste. Black pudding blood pudding. Salty black licorice salt lakrits. I'm American, but have spent some time in Iceland, and her car shark rotted in the ground is awful. Though I think it's a tourist thing now. Also, shit smoked lamb is vile. Crawfish if you're not Louisiana, especially sucking the heads. Alligator, oysters, raccoon, nutria. Basically we eat anything down here. Not me, I'm picky as hell.